What's up, guys? Lumos Thermomax here, down to cover Infinite Frontiers official issue 1 drop. I'm pretty excited about it, though I didn't originally intend to cover it by any means. I didn't figure there would actually be anything too relevant to pop off in here, but there is some relevant things, and by the title of the video and or the thumbnail, I'm sure you guys kind of have got an idea of where this is going. So a while back, DC essentially had revealed who they were going to make the next Black Lantern, and it was going to happen in this chapter, and it dropped and I found out about it. So let's review this. A lot of it I'm not going to be following up as much on in this. But something I do want to point out is it seems that in the mainstay stories, we are getting a very interesting amount of coverage on lantern-based things. And I'm really confused, in all honesty, as to where how emotions and stuff work cosmologically now that we don't have the source wall. And Alan Scott as well as Jade are both like extra lanterns, at least I'd consider them that way. And they're getting a lot of focus here. So... especially in the secret files that I'm not necessarily covering directly, but I have been reading. But without further ado, let's cover this chapter. So we start off in DC's Infinite Frontier issue 2 with some sort of spaceship crashing on Earth, and for some reason Flashpoint Batman is in there. And that seems really weird, and the people immediately recognize, that's not really our Batman, but instead everyone is now aware of the greater multiverse that exists out there, and so these guys are essentially saying, he's not from ours, and we're on Earth 23 here, and that's important as we'll follow up later on down the road. The next panel, we get a massive shot of the new DC, I'm assuming, Omniverse/multiverse, and it's interesting because I can't help but notice we still have the same symbols at the end of that map that we have on the old map of the multiverse, and that same coloration, that color spectrum, was representative of the source wall. Now, it would be interesting to me that maybe they're trying to imply that they're doing the Roy G. Biv memes here, the color spectrum memes here, and saying that that's what exists furthest out. I'm not really sure, but it'd be totally interesting if it was. But essentially, everyone's just coming to the conclusion, the multiverse exists out there, it's for real, and that's pretty much all, man. We roll up on, I want to say, Extant from way back in the day, causing some time memes, but Alan Scott and the Justice League kind of put him down, quick, fast, and in a hurry. And I want to say that's Vandal Savage with them, but I could be wrong. Given Lex Luthor's chilling with them, I want to say that they're doing this new multiversal league thing where good guys and bad guys are both kind of hanging out at the same time and stopping threats together. They wind up fighting up against a bunch of other random losers, but yeah, the normal people are the ones who are just kind of trying to adjust to this new situation. Well, Alan Scott is explaining this to someone, to this Midnighter guy, or not Midnighter, to whatever this other shade cloak guy is. I can't remember what his name is. They step into a building, and the whole building ahead of them explodes. And for some reason, Alan Scott's daughter, Jade, is missing. Now, this is relevant because, remember, in the last chapter of Infinite Frontiers Green Lantern, it was those Gem World beings who were super pissed that the Guardians essentially stole the Starheart from them. So maybe we're seeing them go after the Gem World people go after her specifically, or maybe she's having issues, because I know in the last issue of Infinite Frontier she was having problems specifically as well. So we're not entirely sure yet, but I'm sure we'll find out what's going on there down the road. We rotate into Director Bones and some others just sitting around talking. Honestly, it's kind of whatever. Everyone's still just kind of, once again, trying to deal with the idea of the Infinite Frontier, or the infinite omniverse or multiverse that exists out there now that it's common knowledge. Meanwhile, back in the House of Heroes, Batman from Flashpoint wakes up and sees the multiversal group of people on the House of Heroes, and immediately goes throwing hands with all of them because he doesn't like anything that's going on, and he's like, yo, what the hell is happening? And President Superman's like, bro, you're in the bleed. So yeah, this is the Justice League incarnate, you're in the House of Heroes, and we're like multiversal Justice League. And he says, okay, well, whatever, dude, find me the Flash. And he says, wait, which one? He says, Barry Allen. And he's just like, which one? Are you serious? We're talking multiverse memes because Flashpoint Batman has never really been exposed to anything outside of his home universe as a result of Flashpoint specifically. But in the last episode of Infinite Frontier, Barry basically had passed on our Earth Zero. Barry Allen had passed on the mantle of the Flash to Wally and is now going on this multiversal adventure to kind of find out what's out there in the greater Omniverse. And the first place he wanted to go was the furthest point in existence, a place called Elseworld. And so now we catch up back with him where he is running through the multiverse, vibrating through it all at the same time in order to not teleport, but phase himself to this furthest mystery world, Earth Omega. That's what the name of it was, Earth Omega. And he's reporting back to them, but something weird is that the place has no frequency or there's no vibrations here. So unlike all the other worlds, as we just said, like the source wall itself did exist outside of everything, and all of the worlds inside the multiverse, they all vibrate, but at different frequencies, but they inhabit the exact same space. That's how they get away with like all of that, like all the 3D memes. Whenever it comes to that not working. Sure enough, he came across the bodies of the Quintessence, and the Quintessence, yep, they done deadzo. It's pretty clear there. And in the middle of him rolling up on the bodies of the Quintessence, it appears that he gets hit by some sort of mental attack. And sure enough, dude, Psycho Pirate rolls up and begins to torture the Flash. But we also have some sort of dark voice in the background telling him to remember what his place was in the story, in terms of what Psycho Pirate's place in the story actually is. And this energy looks very reminiscent to what Darkseid had specifically used on the Quintessence in the prior chapter. So obviously Darkseid is scheming and memeing behind the scenes here and doesn't want to get directly involved yet. So he's got the Flash off by himself, and I'm assuming he's going to keep him there so he can't directly get involved, and he'll have to leave things to Wally West. But back on Earth, we wind up dealing with a bunch of random humans who are all just discussing things. They're mainly kids all trying to explain what their experiences were, because some of the people on DC are actually remember like the events of death metal. And some of them don't. Some of them believe it's mass hallucinations. But for some of especially the younger generation, they can't they can't unsee what they saw. One girl specifically looking at the bat who laughs, and there's a young man with red hair looking nearby, just kind of listening in and laughing, wondering, this is obviously their first experience with this. And another guy kind of stands up and starts spouting the opposite. Y'all just a bunch of crazy kids. Multiverse, the heroes are just making this shit up. They're just trying to keep us in place through all this crazy stuff. None of this is real. When an explosion occurs and in walks some sort of weirdo looking assassins I am not familiar with, but they are looking for a man named Roy Harper, and they're surprised he's alive. And if you don't know who Roy Harper is Red Arrow. He's died multiple times. I mean, kind of a total jobber in the not dying department, but he is a survivor. He always manages to come back. But they're hunting him and saying he's gonna wish he's gonna stay dead by the time done with him. When all of a sudden we back out of the diner to see a giant black fist hit the person who was assaulting him, and everyone begins to freak out inside the room as these black constructs begin walking towards all the people who came to grab Roy Harper. And Roy Harper panics, gets up, and realizes that he has a Black Lantern ring on. And all the constructs that were marching down on all the people were all the different versions of himself and other heroes that have been, essentially. And we end on the note that Roy Harper is our new Black Lantern. Now, does any of that make any sense? Literally no. It makes the least amount of sense humanly possible. The way the Black Lantern memes work is to genuinely become a Black Lantern, you have to at least worship death, but maybe that idea has degraded in the last few years, considering Batman just put on a Black Lantern ring in death metal, and that was the only reason he was relevant for all of that. So maybe the parameters of the Black Lantern rings have changed, or maybe Necron is playing a different game and is trying to bestow that power to others Omniverse, even those who don't necessarily worship his power, in order to spread it. But it doesn't make sense because Roy Harper would be actively willing to fight against the forces of Necron. So I'm curious to see what games we're playing here. And then the bigger question that really needs to be asked at the end of the day: what exactly happened to Necron as a result of all of this action? Because he existed outside of the multiverse. He was outside of the multiverse before the light came, or the light entity came. He was the darkness before creation. So does that mean that he was technically a part of the Omniverse? Is that why he needed a host to drag himself into our reality? Would also explain why he was so damn powerful, including throwing off beings like the Spectre and friends and characters along those lines with relative ease. Very curious here, very curious. And also the memes with Darkseid. I'm not entirely sure what Darkseid is getting at, but he obviously doesn't. He's afraid of whatever the Flash can do, so he doesn't want him to be part of it. So I'm curious to see what'll happen with Flash and Psycho Pirate as well. Roy Harper, the Black Lantern, ladies and gentlemen. It really happened. Be sure to check out the coffee shop content creators down below, and until next time, Lanterns. Later.